This is Digital Trends Live, and it is now time for another edition of Tech Briefs, where myself, Greg Nibbler, am joined by Ken Young from Flipboard, where we try to catch you up to date with some of the biggest stories in tech over the last week in about 10 minutes, or as close as possible as we can get. Ken, hello.
Hey, Greg, nice to see you.
Good to see you too. All right, let's get started on this. So I think we got to go back to the beginning of the week and talk about one of the most interesting things that I've seen in a while, and also kind of disturbing at the same time of how this all went down. So this has to do with two of the richest people in the world, one of them sending a message to the other one and infecting their phone. So the Crown Prince, and this is all coming out of reports right now, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, allegedly, or supposedly in this report, in 2018, sent a WhatsApp message to Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, and there was a malicious video file on it that Jeff Bezos clicked on that infected his phone, allowed the Saudi Arabians to get access to all kinds of data on his phone, including implications that he was having an affair, which did play out in public. He did get a divorce, a very expensive divorce, and this was all allegedly based around the fact that the Saudi Arabians, and in particular the Crown Prince, was unhappy with the coverage in the Washington Post about his government, which Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. That's a lot to unpack right there.
Yeah, I think if anything, this highlights that nobody is going to be 100% protected against these type of intrusions. We've started to see a lot of these breaches and data hacks over the past few years, and there's no signs that these are going to let up anytime soon. But yes, as you correctly pointed out, this is the Guardian reported earlier this week that Jeff Bezos, one of the richest people in the world, had a phone hack, had his iPhone hacked as a result of a video that was sent to him by the Saudi Crown Prince. Now, Saudi Arabia's government has called it "quote unquote" absurd that this would happen. The UN has called for an investigation, but forensics experts claim that this is the result of unfair criticism levied by the Washington Post. And Facebook, interestingly enough, has said, look, we're not, this is not something, we're not responsible for this. Even as you know, Facebook owns WhatsApp. Earlier today on the BBC, Facebook executive Nick Clegg, he was criticized for his response to this, saying that, look, this is end-to-end encryption is foolproof, that there's nothing wrong with WhatsApp, although security experts have panned that response, saying, look, you're totally forgetting the fact that sure, maybe end-to-end encryption works, but the WhatsApp app itself has had security vulnerabilities. There's some blame to be had probably by Facebook and WhatsApp, and of course, Jeff Bezos is saying, has remained silent on this, with the exception of basically tweeting out in a response to slain Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, saying that he stands with them. So this is something that will continue to play out, and it shows that there's a lot of vulnerabilities in play, and people need to be better protected against these type of intrusions.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot to unpack there, and just thinking about, with WhatsApp and that side of things as far as the security. Also, I guess, the bottom line is don't click on a video link that's sent to you from the Saudi Crown Prince, because you cannot trust that link. So that's it'll be interesting to see what the United Nations comes out with this, how this all plays out on a public stage. But always, when you have two of the richest people in the world, one hacking the other one, that's gonna be fascinating no matter what. We'll see where that goes. Going on to some more topics here from this week. Autonomous vehicles are something that are going to be in the news forever now, so just get used to that. But there's a new one out, and this is from Cruise. Cruise has been working on autonomous vehicles for a while, but they came out with something called the Cruise Origin. And it's an electric car that's designed from the ground up to be an autonomous vehicle. And that's a little bit different than a lot of them that we're seeing, where they're more like retrofit or kind of a combination where you could have some autonomous features. This is a specifically designed vehicle that is going to be used, they're saying, in kind of a rideshare capacity. It's like a big lounge essentially inside. Absolutely no driver's seat. There's no driver's seat in it, so it's got a lot of space when you think about getting rid of all of that. It's an interesting use case, and this is coming from GM. They're the main manufacturer. I believe they co-developed with Honda on it. And the key thing that I think with this is they're saying this is going to happen. They even specifically said, unlike CES where you see a lot of concept vehicles, this isn't just a concept. We're going to make this, and it's going to have level 5 autonomy out there in the world.
Yeah, and like you said, I think at CES we definitely saw a lot of, hey, we're going to move into autonomous vehicles. Qualcomm unveiled a platform around doing these type of autonomous vehicles. But until this week, we didn't actually see any car makers that are actually saying, look, this is actually going to happen. I think the closest one, Tesla, is saying that their autopilot is going to be fully autonomous, but there's no real time frame in the near future, rather, for that to happen. But you look at Intel's Mobileye, NVIDIA, Lyft, Uber, and all these other companies that are looking to, even Waymo, they're trying to get, that's the ultimate goal, to get to fully autonomous. Now there's 5 levels of autonomous driving that's been established. Most of them are in the early stages of that, and as you said, this is something that we're going to see more on the roads in the years to come. And but interestingly, Cruise is not going after the consumer market. You won't be able to buy the Origin vehicle. I mean, this is something that seats 4 people. There's no driver. There's no steering wheel. There's no brakes. No nothing. This is all going to be fully autonomous, and something that you probably would see an equivalent of. I think that's being tested out in Las Vegas with some sort of autonomous vehicle. Whether that's truly level 5. I'm not 100% familiar with. But you look at with Tesla and Waymo and all these other guys, they're all looking at implementing some sort of consumer autonomous vehicle, something that you and I will eventually be able to own, for in the next decade. So this is going to be very helpful in terms of specifically the Cruise Origin will be very helpful in terms of getting people around. It'll disrupt the existing ride-sharing market, that being from Uber and Lyft and even public transit. But interestingly, the Cruise Origin only, again, seats 4. So whether that fully disrupts public transit, which you can get on a bus or a subway, which seats hundreds, that's in question. But that being an electric vehicle, get you around faster without prone to less accidents. I mean, it's a good step forward, I would think.
Yeah, and just coming from a major manufacturer too, and saying that they are going to do this, so there's still a lot of approval that obviously has to go through. I mean, this isn't approved for a highway anywhere, but they're so confident in it that they believe this is something that people will want, and can disrupt that ride-sharing idea, and just another competitor getting in there. It's going to be a fascinating year for this, and just going forward, a lot of this stuff happening. Real quick, I know we have one more here, and this is just a strange thing that I feel like has gone on this week that people got really upset about. And it has to do with Sonos. And Sonos announcing that they were no longer going to be updating some of their old hardware as of May of this year. A lot of people took that to mean that their old Sonos stuff that they've built ecosystems off of is going to be bricked, that they're not going to have any more updates, that they're just going to stop it. And Sonos made this announcement earlier this week saying that they were not going to be updating. But then, due to the outcry, they had to go back and issue another statement.
Yeah, so Sonos ultimately apologized, saying that they blamed it on the confusion of their messaging, and that's fair. And I think it's important that there's no right or wrong side of this. There's 2 parts. On one hand, Sonos is saying, look, we're going to we need to upgrade. We can't continue to service those devices that have been around for more than a decade. And people on Twitter were claiming, like, what's going on? Why can't this happen? And there were others that were saying, okay, well, you're already upgrading devices that basically die out after 2 years, right? Your phone, everyone's upgrading their phones every year or every 2 years. So why are you so upset about something that's lasted you 10 years, right?
Right.
On the other hand, people that are saying, look, if you're going to end support for these devices that are 10 years or older or however long, what's the security risk that lies in that? I mean, are you not going to be providing security updates? Are you not providing these type of things? And they're prone to hacking, and at that point, it leads to some vulnerabilities. So there's good arguments to be had on both ends. And of course, Sonos kind of went back and said, okay, we're going to give you, we're going to upgrade, we're going to release features, security updates for these older devices, even past the original May deadline, But what will happen after May that you will not, if you have an older device, you will not get a newer features, but you will still get the software, the security updates as well. An interesting one thing to note as well with Sonos, as they're trying to get people to upgrade to newer devices, they have that 30% off trade up program. But that has been criticized because you won't be able to really recycle your older devices. It's been deemed, people have reportedly said it's not environmentally safe. And as soon as you take advantage of it, your device is automatically bricked. So therefore, you can't really recycle or reuse that older device. So there's some things to take a look at whether or not you're going to participate in Sonos's upgrade, or those that have multiple speakers in their homes.
Right.
This is going to be a costly upgrade for them.
Yeah, and that's why people were so upset. I mean, you invest a lot of money in it, but that's what's going on with that. So you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com and of course on Flipboard. And Ken, as always, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.